What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Back Pocket Podcast. Today, we have another soccer video for you guys. I know it's been a few soccer videos in a row. We've got some interesting topics for you guys, some more transfer roundup as always, which we'll start with. Let's get straight into it. I hope you guys enjoy. I know you've been loving our content recently, so I'm excited. How you feeling?
Let's talk ball.
Let's go. Starting with our transfer roundup, a team that has been in the headlines recently, completed signings of Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, now Jurrien Timber from Ajax. I really like this signing for Arsenal. I don't know about you, but I think Jurrien Timber is a better version of the role that Ben White played in this season.
Yeah.
So I think as that center back / right back position, I think he plays better when he's listed as a right back, but he's not a very attacking force. But no one watches a lot of the Dutch league unless you're, or at least we don't watch a lot of the Dutch league.
Unless
But
you're
when I
me.
yeah,
I don't do anything other than watch sports.
okay.
It's kind of
Yeah.
bad.
But I
But
think when I have seen Jurrien Timber play, I think he almost perfectly resembles the play style Arsenal are looking for out of that position.
yeah, I like Timber coming into this team. When he signed, a lot of people were looking at it like, why are they signing him? They have Saliba, they have Gabriel
Gabriel.
Malganas, they have Ben White even. Like they're looking at it because they see center back on FIFA and they're like, okay, they already have that.
Mm-hmm.
But Jurrien Timber's a lot more than that. If you watch his game, you know he's very well suited to be an outside back. He's two-footed. He could even go as a left back if needed be. Versatile, and you need a versatile depth piece if you want to go far in the Premier League and the Champions League in the same season. We talked about that a little bit on the last podcast, how Arsenal are missing a little bit of depth, and I disagreed with that. And I think bringing in Jurrien Timber is going to definitely assure yourself in the back where you're not going to have to play a Jacob Kivior as much as you would last season.
Yeah, I think it's a truly a great move. I think there's not a lot to talk about with Timber here because I think tactically he just sort of fits into the system that Arsenal played last year.
Yeah,
I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him starting in Ben White's position at
that's
the
the
start of
question
the
I was going to
year.
ask. Does he start game one?
This is tough because I think that now a year and a half ago, I guess. So at the start of last season, Tomiyasu was the starter at right back for Arsenal.
Yep.
And I really liked the way Tomiyasu played. One of the best pure defensive outside backs we've seen in the Premier League in a while. Um, I think that when Ben White sort of moved in and they bought him for a really hefty fee and he didn't really get off to the start they were hoping for, I was thinking they would go back to Tomiyasu, but that never really happened and Ben White started playing really, really well. So I don't know. I actually don't know that Timber will start. I think they'll come out the gates opening match day and it will still be Ben White at right back.
I'm going to agree with that. I think Timber's a better player than Ben
Mm-hmm.
White personally. And I think Ben White's a very good player, but I think Timber is a better player. He's a faster version, he's a more skilled version on the ball. But I just think for continuity's sake, they're going to start Ben White and see how long it lasts before they really need to put in Timber, whether that be for an injury or that be for poor play from any of the defenders, because he could slot
Yeah.
in anywhere.
Yeah, no, he can play anywhere on the back line. Um, I guess we can move straight into the next one. And this one that saddens my heart, but also is a really great thing, I think, overall for his move, for his career. That's Christian Pulisic to AC Milan. As sad as I am to see him go from my favorite club, he wasn't getting a lot of game time with us. He wasn't playing particularly well with us. And I think this is a huge move for the US star because I think AC Milan is the perfect landing spot for Pulisic.
Yeah,
I think he fits
absolutely.
really, really well into this team. He should get close to 90 minutes every single game. He should be a nailed on starter in this team. And I think AC Milan, as a title challenging team, they will absolutely have a use for Pulisic, even if it's just as a bench piece, which it won't be. But I think this is the perfect move for his career. Dylan, what do you think?
I think the key to him is always staying healthy. As long as he can stay healthy at AC Milan this season, he will flourish. He will be one of the best players in Serie A. He could be one of the best players in Europe, as far as I'm concerned. That being said, he's going to be pushed out of his normal spot. He's usually flourishing as a left winger. Rafael Leao is not getting pushed out of that spot anytime soon. I personally really like him as a 10. I think he plays the best there for the United States. And in the few opportunities we saw him playing there at Chelsea, very, very few and far between, he was pretty good there as well. So I think if they're going to put him in that 10, I think that's the best spot for him rather than putting him on the right, which is a spot that still needs to be filled at Milan. Salamakers looks to be on his way out. The CS already out to Torino. So if they are going to bring in another player, it's interesting to see, are they going to bring in a 10? Are they going to bring in a right winger? Because that'll decide where Pulisic plays. I think Pulisic's going to be the most important attacker on this team other than Rafael Leao.
Yeah, I think this is a really, really interesting one formation wise because I said this to you, Dylan, I think yesterday or the day before. I think Christian Pulisic plays his best when he's playing on the left. You said he plays his best in a 10. I think that after consideration, it's not necessarily that I believe he plays his best when he's playing on the left side. He just plays his best when he's getting consistent game time. And now
Yeah.
that's true for every player in the world. I'm not going to say that's, an untrue thing for most players, but the drop off for Pulisic when he's playing every match day to once every other game is completely and utterly insane. It's a very significant drop off when Pulisic gets on form and he's playing every week. He I agree with you, Dylan, can look like one of the best players in the league, potentially one of the best players in Europe if he's playing, in a good Milan side. When he's playing every other game, he just doesn't he never gets his footing. He never gets comfortable. So wherever AC Milan end up playing him, I think he can play on the left, he can play as the 10, he can play on the right. Any of those three positions will work. He's done all three for Chelsea, he's done all three for the United States. I think any one of them will work. He just needs consistent game time. And by consistent game time, that can't be moving from the left in one week to the right in another week and then back to the 10. He's got to play the same spot
Yes,
every
exactly.
single week. That's the mistake Chelsea's made a lot of times. They've played him on the left and he's had a good performance, and then they've brought Hakim Ziyech and put him on the left and moved Pulisic over to the right. They've done a lot of random things. Hakim Ziyech is just one example. He needs to play the same position every week for 10 weeks and then watch his performances.
I fully agree with that. And I think that's what I see going forward for Pulisic is that's going to be happening
Mm-hmm.
as long as he stays healthy. Because AC
Yeah.
Milan, realistically, they lost Brahim Diaz. They're shopping De Ketelaere. De Ketelaere is horrible either way. And they sold Macias. They're losing Salamakers. They're not going to expect Aster Franks to step into that cam role yet. They've just got vacancies in offensive positions, and Christian Pulisic is a perfect way to fill that.
Interestingly, in our last podcast, Dylan, you said Charles de Ketelaere was your worst signing of the entire year.
Yeah,
Um, I wouldn't be shocked if de Ketelaere moved on to the right for Milan.
he's
I
never
would
played on
not
the
be.
right.
He has never played on the right, but I think that it's a position that in this AC Milan team, I don't necessarily think he would do a bad job of it. I think that de Ketelaere would,
It's
in
just
in a
hard.
sense,
It's
almost
hard
play
for
like
me
a
to
second
see the
striker.
Milan Curva Sud allowing him to play just because he
I
was
think
so bad.
but as bad as he was, how many games did he play last year? 35 of the 38.
37 of the 38.
So I think that even that they would have seen by game 30 or so that he was playing really badly, and he kept
They
playing.
wanted to give him a chance because he's a youngster. They
But
paid
I
him.
think
He's
that the
got all the.
chance is not necessarily over. I think that they're just going to move him around. They're going to try.
I
They,
don't
they
know.
paid for a certain player. He played really well before joining AC. He played really badly with AC. I think we could see him play on the right, and it'll be an interesting system. I think he'll play more as a second striker from the right hand side, leaving Pulisic the freedom to roam on the right and through the
I
middle.
see what you're going for, but they're already trying to shop him. AC Milan are very keen on letting him leave while he still has value in their eyes.
Yeah, but I think he's right now with Giroud, Pulisic, and Leao. He's their fourth best attacker.
That's not good for a title challenging
It's
team.
not good for a title challenging team, and I think they should bring someone else in. But I think if they need him to, we saw how good of a player he is. We saw he has the quality. He hasn't shown it for Milan yet.
Yeah. I don't think he's all that. I really never did. I thought he was an interesting prospect just because he's a 6'4" striker who's not particularly known for his hold up play. He's more of a ball skills type player, but it just didn't work out. He
No,
was.
it didn't work out last year. I think they may give him another chance. They may not, but I could definitely see him playing on the right hand side for this team.
I mean,
Um,
that's where he would have to go because there's nowhere
yeah,
else he
no,
fits in.
absolutely, because
Yeah.
he's not going to play in the middle of the field because he's not that good.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to the next one, towards the defense of the team. This is a team that struggled. Manchester United let go of David De Gea a few days ago. He's a free agent now, being shopped around. Andre Onana. I think this one is not confirmed. He's not been announced to Manchester United supporters, but this is here we go from Fabrizio Romano. This is going to happen in the next few days, maybe in the next week. For me, Andre Onana is a top 5 goalkeeper in the world right now. I think this is an unbelievably good signing. I think this
Top
is
five
great.
goalkeeper is a stretch. I think he's a good goalkeeper, and I think he's a lot better than De Gea, and he'll be very good for Man United. But I think it's more of a player that people aren't really going to talk about. It's just like, okay, that position's filled. You've got a keeper. Nothing much talked about. No, there's not going to be the brilliance of Andre Onana. It's going to be, okay, we're stable there now. That's
I
more
actually
what I
disagree.
see.
I actually disagree with you. I think it's not necessarily the brilliance of Andre Onana, but I think he's the perfect prototypical Premier League goalkeeper. I think we've watched Aaron Ramsdale show up in the Premier League. I think Andre Onana is built and plays very similarly to Aaron Ramsdale. We've seen Onana makes some really acrobatic saves. He's got sure hands. He's not going to let the ball slip like David De Gea. Um, but I think potentially the best part of Andre Onana's game is his distribution.
Yes.
Andre Onana is magnificent with his feet, both feet. He can do it with either foot, and he doesn't often give the ball away. He starts counterattacks for Inter Milan. It's a lot of their attack with Lautaro Martinez up top. And I think that Onana fits the Premier League so well that he will be talked about next year. David De Gea won the Golden Glove this year for Manchester United, which shocked me when I saw it because I was wondering how that could be possible. I think Onana will maybe not win the Golden Glove in his first season in the Premier League because I think Manchester United's defense is not particularly strong, but this
I
will
think
be
they
a
have a good
talked.
defense. I mean,
It's
Varane
it's
and
fine
Lissandro Martinez is a very good center back duo. I
when
will
they're both
say,
healthy.
but they're both healthy going into this season. So
This should be a solid defense, and now that they're bolstering their goalkeeper position, this is a fantastic goalkeeper. He I won't say single-handedly, but was a massive part in Inter Milan's run to the Champions League final. Kept them into that game for longer than they should have been. He dealt with the Manchester City press brilliantly. I think that's something that doesn't happen as much in Serie A. That will be a transition for him into the Premier League, but it's one that he's ready for. His adaptability is good, and with his feet, he'll be able to handle a Liverpool press, a Manchester City
yeah,
press, an Arsenal press. I think that this is a prototypical English goalkeeper.
I agree with that. And upon further review, I do think he's going to be talked about just because it's a move on from De Gea to Onana. And it's just going to
Yeah,
be a shock for Man United fans that they've got a keeper that they can rely on game in game out.
yeah.
And that's no hate to De Gea over the past years. I want to just put out there, David De Gea from 2014 to 2018 was the best goalkeeper in the world, barring Neuer. So there is some respect being given to David De Gea. I'm not saying he's a bad goalkeeper forever, but he fell off.
No, De Gea has been one of the best goalkeepers in the world over the last decade. That's an undisputable fact. The last couple seasons have just been a little shaky. He's made some fantastic saves. We've all seen them, but the errors have been overwhelming, and his time has come. And that's where I think Andre Onana will be a perfect placement. He's just
Yeah,
going to be fantastic for them.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's all the transfer roundup we're going to do for today. But let's head into a topic we've already talked about before on this channel. But I wanted to expand it a little bit because Dylan and I had a huge argument the last time we did.
Yeah.
That's Pochettino's Chelsea. I'm a Chelsea fan, you all know it. I'm super biased, and I want to address. I made a lineup for Chelsea in the last podcast that was unprepared. It was just off the top of the head who I would have started, and I got a lot of criticism on that, and I will take constructive criticism because that as I should. Um, I want to say that for most of the comments, they were Pochettino won't play a 5-back. Pochettino will be a 4-2-3-1. And I completely agree with you guys. Pochettino, his formation is a 4-2-3-1. That's what I think we are most likely to see out of Pochettino when he first comes to Chelsea. I chose a 3-back or a 5-back, depending on how you look at it, because in the last 3 or 4 years, the only times I've watched Chelsea play well is when playing in a 3-back. I think that if I were, obviously I'm not a coach, I am not Chelsea's coach, but if I were looking at who I would play in Chelsea's formation right now, we won the Champions League in a 3-back. We've won every important game that we've played in the last 4 or so years since Antonio Conte, which is, I guess, around 6 years ago now, in a
Yes.
three back. This team has played their best in a three back. That's why I chose a three back. I agree Pochettino will probably line up in a 4-2-3-1, and I won't be upset about that, but that's why I chose a three back. Moving on to, what we'll see from Pochettino, we've already seen it's in the news all over the place. Pochettino's incredible fitness regime. Chelsea have struggled fitness wise when I've watched. They just look like they don't run a lot. They're tired. Pochettino will fix that. Dylan, what are you expecting from Pochettino's Chelsea this year?
I'm expecting them to finish better in the standings. First and foremost, this is a results based league. They're gonna do better this season. They're gonna finish seventh, sixth, anywhere in that eighth to fifth range. They're not gonna be Champions League quite yet, but they're gonna do better results wise. But what I do think is gonna happen is there's gonna be tension between him and the board, because what Todd Bowley thinks is if you don't win the league, if you don't win make Champions League even. I don't know if his brain is nuanced enough to understand the concept of Champions League yet. But if you don't win something, you're not succeeding. So regardless of the progress that I think Pochettino is going to make, because I think he's going to instill a culture, I think he's going to do everything how he does it. It's not going to be enough because Todd Bowley doesn't know how to manage a club. And I have no faith that he's going to be able to figure out how to do that. So that's my explanation as to why I was a little bit erratically yelling in the last podcast. It's just because no matter how well Pochettino does to rebuild the mess Bowley made, I don't think Bowley's going to care.
That's where I think that, and now this is a recently formed idea in my brain. That's where I think that the most important competition that Chelsea play in this year is the FA Cup. I think the Premier League, this is not going to, they're not going to finish 12th place again. I agree with what you said. They're also, I've seen predictors putting them in the top four. I disagree with that. The biggest Chelsea fan you'll find, one of the biggest out there, I don't think this is a Champions League ready team. That leaves a gray area in between that I'm not sure it totally matters where they finish. No European football, potentially Europa League, maybe probably Conference League area, but they also aren't in danger of, finishing in the bottom five of the Premier League. I think the FA Cup will be a big deal because you said it, Todd Bowley has never managed a football club before, and I think that's where winning trophies is a really big deal for him. And if you can show you're winning something, getting to the final in the FA Cup, getting to the final in the Carabao Cup, these are not, the FA Cup a much bigger competition than the Carabao Cup, but a trophy is a trophy for this team right now. Any confidence booster for not only the players but the owner, I think will be a big deal. And this is a team that I think, they're not contending for the top of the Premier League. They're not contending for Champions League as of right now. I think any team is contending for the FA Cup though, and I think that will be a big competition. I think Pochettino should throw everything at the FA Cup because we're not winning any other trophies this year.
No, I would say that that's a smart idea to throw stuff at the domestic cups, whether it be Carabao or FA Cup. I'm sure Todd Bowley doesn't know the difference.
No, yeah,
So,
probably not.
so there it is. Win something, and you gain the confidence of your owner. So I agree. If I'm Pochettino, I'm going in.
Yeah, I think Pochettino. I think Bowley would be smart to give him 2 years. I think one
I
year is
agree.
not going to
No,
fix
I
this club
agree. If
culture. Um, I think actually, sorry, the first year could fix the club culture, and the second year you see the results.
yes,
I think Pochettino needs 2 years because this team is in such turmoil. I think most managers, or not most managers, sorry, most clubs getting a new manager, a 1 year project is all they really need. 2 years for Pochettino is needed right now.
yeah.
Moving on, I think this is, we're gonna start to get into the fun stuff. Prediction time. We haven't talked about this one. This is not one that Dylan and I have discussed before. Who do you think's getting relegated from the Premier League this season?
Okay, Luton Town's the first one.
20th
I
place, Luton Town.
I have Luton Town coming 20th place as well. I mean, they just signed Tahith Chong, which I actually really
I
like.
That's a great signing. We haven't talked about
That's
that one. That's a really
that's
good one.
that's someone that's gonna be a stalwart in that team who's gonna be able to get them goals where I don't think they
Yeah,
had anything that was Premier League ready. So that's someone that I'm excited to see how he can do there, and I think that was a permanent signing.
I
So
believe so.
so that,
Although
that
he's not a big goal scorer, but I think this will
but
be.
he's creative.
Yeah, I mean
So
totally.
it's just something. But either way, that's the 20th place team. They realistically don't belong in the Premier League. As fun as their story is, they just don't have enough talent to make that work.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Which
20th place
I'd actually like
is a
to
little
pose
down.
the question: would them winning the league top Leicester City winning the league?
Absolutely. Without a
Yeah,
doubt in my mind, because
I'd
this is
agree.
not only a one season story. This is a whatever it is, 6 or 7 year story from National League all the way to Premier League champions. This is different. This
Yeah,
is insane.
I would agree that them winning would be greater. Yeah,
But we also, I think all of us said, I mean, and not just the four of us, but this was a kind of worldwide belief that Bournemouth would go down as the 20th place
I
team.
didn't think so. I had Bournemouth staying up last season. You could ask Sarah. I was proud
Yeah,
of
I
that
mean, I
one.
think, the fact that Bournemouth nor Fulham, who I think a lot of people predicted as the
I had
19th and
Fulham
20th
going
place
down there.
team, stayed up, and that was a big deal. Moving on to 19th place, I'm gonna say I saw someone predict Burnley here, and I I don't agree with that.
No,
I can't get behind that. I think Burnley could finish as high as 11th or 12th
you know,
place
I
this
think
year. I
Burnley
think
is a completely different team than what we saw with
yeah,
Sean Dyche. Just they have Vincent Company, who's one of the up and rising managers in the world. I think he can
yeah.
help this team finish mid table. If
This is
you're
a
to,
very different
you know,
team.
for me, 19th, I'm going to say Nottingham Forest. They had their fun last season. It's just not a cohesive team, struggling in all realms of the game last season. They stayed up on a couple of lucky wins, couple of big points here and there against teams that they're not going to be able to beat again. And I might just be I might just be throwing away their wins against big teams, but watching the game they won against Arsenal, they're not winning that again this year. Watching the game they won against Liverpool, they're not winning that again this year.
They took points off of Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Manchester City last year. It's not going to happen again.
It's not going to happen again. They're going down.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you again, but my 19th place team is also Nottingham Forest here. We saw them make so many signings at the start of last season, and it didn't really improve results. It gave them a little bit of a boost towards the end, um, but I see Nottingham going down. I don't really see them staying up in this league. I'm also, can I point out, I looked up the Premier League standings just to, make
Yeah.
sure I've got all 20 teams in my brain, and Villarreal is on the standings.
Really? Share a screen.
Um, yeah, let me just, this is, I think they meant Aston Villa,
That's
and,
that's funny.
um, oh God. Let me see. Sorry, it's not letting me. Go on to your 18th place team just because
My
this
18th
is
place
being
team is
weird.
going to be Sheffield. They finished second in the championship last season. They're kind of a bungee jumping team. They go up and down. I can't see them staying up. They didn't make any real signings, and they weren't particularly impressive in the championship. They staved off the playoff by a few games. There's just nothing really there. And I think every other team in the Premier League just has more of a development and a more of a financial backing to get stuff done. So I don't see them staying up.
Yeah, I think Sheffield is going to be definitely on the border. I think that's a very close one because I think Sheffield, I agree with you because they don't have a great roster. I'm gonna have Sheffield staying up. I think this could be a final match day kind of staying
Yeah,
up. Um, my 18th place team is a little bit of a surprise. I don't think something that is on a lot of people's radar, and I'm sorry for my brother because my brother's a big fan, but I have Wolves going down.
ooh.
I think losing Ruben Neves is detrimental to this team.
But which
Um,
Portuguese guy are they going to replace him with?
there's no Portuguese guy that they can replace him with that's
Yeah.
as good as Ruben Neves. I think
I just think
uh
they have too much of a again financial backing. If they're struggling in January, they're going to bring in someone very good. They are lacking a goal scorer, so that's something they need to address. But
they've been lacking a goal scorer.
their midfield, Neves or not, is pretty solid. Their
No, I
defense,
think they have the pieces. I just don't think they're necessarily going to put them together.
all
I
right,
think Ruben Neves was kind of the glue that held this entire team together. He's their most important player. He's their
I
center
feel
mid.
that.
He's their defensive mid. I think without him, this team at the very least is going to get off to a really bumpy start.
I feel that.
Um,
Yeah, I could see that
it's up to
happening.
them to rebound.
Yeah, I have Wolves finishing 16th, 15th in that range, but
Mhm.
that's a cool pick. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, just to be a little different. I feel like there had to be a surprise. I think for that one, for me, it was between Wolves, Everton, and Sheffield. But I think that Everton, more
Everton
so
are
than
allergic
Wolves,
to relegation.
they have more of a financial backing as well. I think Damari Gray is a really good player, and I think
Yes,
that alone might be the reason they stay up this year.
and just Sean Dyche working his relegation ball. So
Yeah. I mean, he did it with Burnley for a while. So
yeah,
moving on to the next one. This is we're going from the bottom straight to the top. We're gonna predict our winners for each of the top five leagues. Obviously, Ligue 1, Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, and Serie A. Those five leagues. We got about 5 minutes to do that. Break it down. Who is your Premier League winner?
Man City. We talked about this last time. No one's beating them.
Yeah, Manchester City is the best team in the world right now. So
No, nobody's beating them, regardless of who they lose. They're
yeah,
gonna lose Walker. They're gonna lose Bernardo Silva. They might lose Mars. They already lost Gundogan. It doesn't matter. They're gonna keep winning.
no, yeah, it doesn't really matter as long as they have De Bruyne and Holland. I'm not sure anyone's stopping them.
Yeah,
Let's move on. Let's go to La Liga. Who do you got?
I've got Barcelona winning again. Very good young team. Another year with the vision of Xavi, who I think is another one of the best up and rising coaches in the world. One of the best defenses in the world. Marc-Andre Ter Stegen's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Another year of Lewandowski. The wingers, they can use something there, but Ilkay Gundogan's a league winner. Bringing him in was very, very good for them. Gavi, Gundogan, Pedri in the
Pedri,
midfield
De
is going
Jong.
to be filthy. De Jong as well, yeah. So the one thing I would say is they need to upgrade those wingers, but it's a league winning team again. I think they're
Yeah,
one of the favorites
really.
for the Champions League.
Yeah, really, really like this Barcelona team. I think we just talked about it. They might need a winger. I think we could see Gavi play on the wing this year because they need
False
to make
winger,
room in the midfield. They need to make room.
yeah.
This is also the typical Spanish ball. Like we just talked about this in our last episode. Spain played six central midfielders in that World Cup game. I
Euro final.
and sorry, in the Euro final, and Xavi was one of them, and now he's their head coach. I think we could see De Jong and um Gundogan and Pedri in the middle with Gavi out wide, and
False
if they
winger.
still had Kessié, there would be another midfielder.
Yeah.
But this is, I think Gavi will play on the wing because I think they've been lacking that left wing position for a little bit now, and Ansu Fati didn't really fill it. Uh,
If
as
if
much as I've said
Dembele could
about
stay
Barcelona,
healthy,
I
him and
mean,
Rafinha could work out. But
it could, but I've
it's
heard
just
Rafinha wants to leave, and
yeah,
I don't. I just, who knows what'll happen there. As much as I've talked about Barcelona right there, my winners are going to be Real Madrid.
no shot. No shot.
We talked about Ter Stegen. Courtois is even better. Courtois is the best goalkeeper in the world.
Who is
Eder
going to
Militao,
score their
David
goals?
Alaba, um,
Vinicius will
Vinicius.
score goals. Rodrigo will score goals. Who's their striker? Their striker right now is Hosselu.
But right now, I don't think it matters when it comes to La Liga. Champions League is a different story. But
No,
when it comes to
I
La
would
Liga, they're
actually,
gonna get the
I would
goals.
argue that it matters more for La Liga that you have a striker that can score goals over a 38 game season. And this is no disrespect to Hosselu. Hosselu was a top five goal scorer in La Liga last season, but
So why wouldn't he score again?
it's Real Madrid now. He's playing in a completely different realm now. It's not the same. The pressure will not be the same. It's not like you're playing for Espanyol. He went down last season.
I can't agree with you here because I think that even without an out and out striker, which Hosselu is an out and out striker, but even
But
without
you're
a top tier out and out striker, they're gonna get the goals from all over the field. They just brought in Bellingham, who has scored goals. Chouameni has scored goals. Kroos and Modric are two of the best scoring center mids over the last few years. And I think that
you can't play them
Vinicius and
all.
Rodrigo are two of the best wingers.
I agree
These
with that. I
these
do
are
agree with
these
that.
are all players who will play for Real Madrid. These are this is the best roster in the world right now, and it's behind
You know
Manchester
what?
City. And I
You know
think
what? I
that they
don't
will
hate that.
get the
I
goals.
don't hate that take. I think that's a very good team, but you need a pure starting elite number nine to win a league. It's just
What
not.
about this? Just randomly popped into my head, but I think this is totally a viable solution. But I also could be totally wrong and mistaken. Real Madrid over the last few years, Benzema is thought of as slightly behind a striker, maybe more of a false nine, also an out and out goal scorer. What about, because we have Chouameni and Bellingham and Camavinga and Kroos and Modric, how about Luka Modric as your false nine?
No.
Luka
It,
Modric over the last couple seasons
no,
has
no,
transformed into more of an
no,
attacking
no,
midfielder.
no,
Luka Modric does
no,
not do the
no.
same
I'm
running.
not. I'm not even gonna hear you out. No, that's
Luka Modric can
blasphemy.
score, he can
No.
assist. Vinicius and Rodrigo are
Why
running
would you
behind him.
change where he's playing? He's already a top three center midfielder in the world. He's never played as a false nine. He's never played anywhere more advanced than an eight. He is not
Except for the
gonna
last
play.
couple seasons.
No, he was an eight. He played more attacking, but he was an eight. He didn't. He wasn't a solidified 10. You can't
No,
put
but
him
Luka
in as a
Modric
false
at
nine.
the
No
look
shot.
at Luka Modric in the World Cup. Luka Modric plays a very much attacking style of play
Do you
now.
think if Real Madrid started Luka Modric as a false nine, they would win the league?
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Luka Modric is a top 5 player of the last decade.
Yeah, I agree. As a center midfielder, he never played as a false nine. You're more likely if you said Rodrigo playing as that false nine, and then you bring a winger or you bring Endrick and start him, do something like that. That makes way more sense. But Luka
I
Modric as a
think
false nine is
letting
blasphemy. No shot.
I think letting more center mids play is only a good thing for Real Madrid. We just talked about how Barcelona may move Gavi on the wing. I don't see a reason why. Maybe we're not talking Luka Modric as a false nine, but maybe Luka Modric as a 10, and then Vinicius and Rodrigo play as more strikers than wingers. I think that this is not a team that needs. I mean, obviously, Karim Benzema. No disrespect to Karim Benzema here. I think he's the best striker in the world for a couple seasons. This is not a team that needs Karim Benzema to win the league.
Okay, I'm not putting this out as disrespect to Carlo Ancelotti, but not every team can rearrange their players in different positions the same way Pep can. This isn't the same thing. Modric isn't going to fill into that role like his hand fits a glove, similarly to how Stones.
No,
It's
there are
just not.
always growing pains. It's not like this is not a team that you could just throw Modric at striker and they win the league automatically. But I think this is a team that could play without a striker, is all I'm saying.
I don't think so. I think this team is they're capable of winning games with Modric at striker, sure, but you're not going to beat Barcelona, who I think one of the
I
best teams
mean,
in the world, with
another
Modric as a
player
false
we
nine.
haven't even mentioned is Fede Valverde, who is one of the best center mids in the world.
I agree with that. Fede Valverde going on a wing would make sense. Push Rodrigo up top, sure, there you go. But Modric at center mid, I'm not going to let you get away at center forward. I'm not
I
going to
think
let you
this
get
is a
away with
team
it.
that you could move a lot of players in a lot of places and they could still be a top team in the world.
Sure, but they're not beating out Barcelona with. First of all, Modric will never be playing as a false nine. That will not happen one time. And
No, I'm
second,
not saying it will. I'm just saying if you want to get more center mids into this game because they have the best center mid room in the entire world, but and it's
yeah,
not even
no,
close.
I agree with that.
Modric, Bellingham, and Fede Valverde have been 3 of the top 5 center mids in the last year.
I would argue top 10, but yeah.
Valverde is unbelievable. Bellingham's
Yes.
unbelievable. Modric's unbelievable. They have a plethora of options there, and I don't see how they're gonna rotate it.
Yeah.
But either
What
way,
about
I
Arda
have
Güler?
an Arda Güler. But I have Real Madrid winning the league for me. We only got a couple minutes left, but Ligue 1, I think we both have PSG.
PSG.
Bundesliga, we've both got Bayern.
Bayern.
Serie A, I know we have different picks.
I've got Inter.
I've got AC Milan.
Yeah, AC Milan. I just think they have too much stuff they need to fill. They lost Tonali. They're probably going to lose either Care or Tomori, and they have no real attacking options other than Pulisic and Leao. Giroud, only getting older, had a real off year last season. And no disrespect to Pioli, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. I just don't think he's going to be able to turn it around from a fourth place season last year with a worse roster. It just, especially with the ownership group not really focusing on spending money. They want to bring in Yunus Musa as the Tonali replacement just to get that American connection, I guess. It doesn't
That's
make much
absolutely
sense
a great signing.
I think it is, but not as the Sandro Tonali replacement. You need a
I
defensive
think it
midfielder.
no, but I think it is sort of is a Sandro Tonali replacement because we've seen Yunus Musa play in the 6 and the 8 for the United States. We've seen him do both for Valencia, and I think that with Ismail Benacer next to him, who plays as the more ball progressing midfielder, I think the both of them could form a really nice midfield connection.
I think it would make a really nice midfield connection if you had a center attacking midfielder similar to Bernardo Silva, who's focused on grafting back. But with Benacer and Yunus Musa, I think Musa's a very fit player. He's very defensive minded when need to be, but you don't have enough of a defensive presence there if you have Teo Hernandez and Calabria who are attacking fullbacks. There's just not enough of a defensive presence. No anchor. You can't really do that.
Yeah, but I think the best thing for AC Milan, you said a worse roster, but I'd argue that they did the most important thing, and that was keep their best 4 or 5 players. I think they did
Nah,
a great
their
job
second
keeping
best, their third best player last four. Sorry, their best three players were
Mignon,
Leao,
Teo
Magnan, and Teo
Hernandez, and Leon.
Hernandez. Those are their three best players. But then they lost to Nolly, and they're going to lose to Mori. So
But I
that's
think that Calabria was one of their best players last season. I think
Calabria
that
almost lost his spot last season.
Benacer was one of their best players last
Benacer
season.
was excellent last season.
I
Yeah.
think that they did a very good job keeping the foundation of this team while Tonali is leaving. They did a great job keeping the foundation. I think we could see them truly challenge the title this year is a definite thing. I think they'll have what it takes to win it.
Okay, I see them making a Champions League run this year just because I believe in Christian Pulisic, but it's just not enough to outsource the lack of attacking options they have. I have Inter winning the league. They have not sold anyone. They have, other than Onana, they've kept their lineup exactly as is. And I know Onana was important, but they've got options in goal. They've lost Danovic as
Milan
well.
Skriniar is gone.
Skriniar didn't play for the entire second half of the season though, and even when he did, Acerbi was better than him. So their back line is solid in my eyes. The goalkeeper replacement needs to be made, but I'm sure they'll figure that out. The midfield was the best midfield in Italy, and as far as I'm concerned, well, I would say Napoli's midfield was better last season, but the best midfield in the Champions League last season, other than City. They had anyone that they would put in there would play incredibly well. Hakan Çalhanoğlu was one of the best midfielders in the world for the first half of last season. Nicolo Barella always sound, and just the strike partnership that they'll have next season, Lautaro Martinez and whoever they decide to put up there, they have a plethora of options. It's just a team that knows how to win, and Simone Inzaghi knows how to win trophies, that knows how to win cups. He's just a good coach, and I think Inter's the best team in the league roster-wise now.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think Inter's a really good team. We saw them go to the Champions League final this year and play Man City better than anyone's played them all year. I think Inter won't win just because I think that Inter performance wise can fluctuate up and down. I think
But
if
every
we've
team in
seen
Serie A has that. And last season, Napoli didn't have that, which is why they won. But realistically, that's not going to happen again.
right, but that's right. I just think that I don't love Inter to win the league this year just because I think that I I don't actually have a legitimate explanation as to why. I think losing Onana is a really, really big deal in goal. And Handanovic is not the same player he once was, so they're
Andanovic
gonna
is
have to
gone,
bring
though.
in a goalkeeper.
Yeah, they will have to
Um,
bring in a goalkeeper.
but it's there's no reason I don't like Inter this year. I think Inter could be my second place finisher this year. I just like AC a little bit more. I think they have more of a
I feel like there's just more holes in Milan, though.
I think there are more holes in AC Milan, but I also think there are more superstars at AC. I
I
think
disagree
there
with that.
are
I
I
mean,
think there's
Magnan is a
no
superstar.
the best player when you take look at both teams is Rafael Leao.
Correct.
I think the second best player when you look at both teams is probably Nicolo Barella.
I would say Mike Magnan and then Nicola Barella.
I think Teo Hernandez is top five when you look at both teams.
But you have to look at the fact that the defense of Inter Milan is unchanged with the best defensive record in the Champions League.
The
So,
defense is completely changed because Andre Onana's not in the team.
okay, but you're going to bring in a goalkeeper. I would say I was more talking about the defenders in the lineup. You're right.
I know, but I think that I, again, nothing to dislike for me about Inter. I think they're a really good team, and I think they could make a Champions League run. I think they could make a Serie A run. I think they'll compete for the title. Um, I just think this year's AC's year. That's all there is to it. I think it's
they're
nothing
not
against
spending
Inter.
money. They're not spending money. I would, if you were to argue for Napoli, Lazio, Juventus, Roma, I would have less of an argument, to be honest, because I don't think I'm doing justice to Inter in my argument. I just don't think AC has a chance because they're not spending money. They're committed to being a sellers club. They fired their technical director. It just, and that's Paolo Maldini, by the way. It just, they're not a team that's committed to winning right now.
But I think that they are committed enough to winning because they did just re-sign Rafael Leao, who
They
we've talked
re-signed
about
Leao
him
when
being
Maldini was there.
we but he's still re-signed. He's
Yeah,
not going anywhere right now.
that's correct.
I think that AC Milan, Rafael Leao is the best player on AC Milan. He's the best player when you factor in Inter Milan. He is arguably the best player in all of Serie A.
Victor
I
Osimhen,
think
but
Osimhen, Kavicha, and Rafael Leao are probably the best three players in
that's
Serie A.
I'd agree with that.
Um, and I guess you guys wonder why we haven't said anything about Napoli yet. I think the absence of, you know,
Yeah.
like I think that this is just not going to be the same Napoli team.
I
I
was
think
the only reason I think this is because Kim Min Jae is gone and he was just so important. They're
I
not
think,
really losing
but
that much other than
not
that.
only Kim and Jay being gone, Spalletti is gone.
Spalletti as well, and
That's the
that
big deal.
is very true. But I actually do not. I trust Aurelio De Laurentiis. I definitely mispronounced that, but I I trust ADL's decision making when it comes to coaching. I didn't think Spalletti was a good hire at the time, given his time at Roma, his time at Inter. He was never able to win anything, but obviously I was wrong. So I'll give Rudy Gracia the benefit of the doubt coming in. That being said, I don't particularly like him as a coach, so it's a difficult situation to be in because I trust who's hiring him, but I don't like the coach. You lost your best center back. Realistically, Zambo and Gisa had a phenomenal season, but we're not seeing that again. You don't have a right winger anymore. You don't have your best. It's just not going to be the same team.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is still a Champions League
Yeah,
team, but
I agree.
they're not going to compete with. I think we could see a rise out of Juventus this season. Um, with Vlahovic
No Europe.
potentially leaving, they'll be tough. That'll be a tough one for them. But I think if Federico Chiesa can stay healthy, he will also be one of the best players in Serie A. We've seen it before. We
I
saw it at
just
the Euros.
what I
Chiesa
don't
is an
see with
unbelievable
Juve
player.
is the youth that they bring in, and I like Samuel Illing. I like him a lot. I like Federico Gatti. I like him a lot. But the midfielders, specifically Miretti and Fagioli, are just not good. I've seen them play enough. I've watched enough. They're trying to push their academy forward, and I respect them for trying to do it. But those guys are not the answers, and they're going to keep playing them, and it's not going to work.
No, I mean Juventus's best academy is the rest of Serie A.
Yeah,
Their best academy assets are not the ones that come from their own. Chiesa and Vlahovic, both coming from Fiorentina in the last couple of years. Juan Cuadrado, a longtime servant of Juventus, came from Fiorentina. All their players come from other clubs. Paulo Dybala from Palermo. This is a club that takes from other clubs. No hate against them for
yeah.
it. It's just how the league works. But it's like Bayern. Their best academy is not their own. I think that this is a club that we could see something out of, but I agree. It's the young talent they're bringing in is not matching the old talent that's leaving.
I know we're talking about league winners, but now I feel like we have to touch on Atalanta, Lazio, Roma. What do you see out of them this season?
Not a lot.
Not a
Not a
lot.
lot.
I was very, very high on Roma going into the season, as you can see. Roma, big fan, but not having Mourinho for the first couple games is going to hurt. The uncertainty with Dybala, his release clause as low as 12 million this season to be bought out, that will hurt a lot. And having sanctions on them, not being able to spend due to FFP violations, will hurt them a lot. I see another Europa League finish this season. I hope to see better, but Tammy Abraham couldn't score last season. I don't expect us to bring in a striker other than possibly Skamaka. And I like the signings that Roma brought in with Aurar and Dika, potentially Murata, potentially Skamaka, but it's not going to be enough to push them over the line to make the Champions League. Going into our city rivals, Lazio, they finished in the Champions League last season without bringing in anyone massive. And they, instead of building on that, they sold their best player to Saudi Arabia. So they're going to be
I'd argue they're second best, but
who's better?
Immobile.
Immobile is not better than Sergei Milinkovic-Savic.
I
No. Immobile is a great player, great goal scorer, but Sergei Milinkovic-Savic made that team tick. I do like them bringing in Domenico Berardi, though. I thought that was an excellent signing.
mm-hmm. That's a great job. I think I agree with you with Roma and Lazio here. I think Lazio is going to struggle to keep up in Champions League and Serie A at the same
It
time,
always happens.
especially
They're a
without
rotating tenure.
Sergei, without Milinkovic Savic. There's going to be just less cohesion in this team. I think he's been their best player when you look at probably most important player.
Yeah.
But I think just in terms of how well they've played over the last couple of seasons, I think Chiro and Milinkovic Savic are on the same level. They're on the podium for them.
I found it so funny that Lazio were so good defensively last season, given that they have no great defenders. Like I always made fun of Lazio for the players that they would have at the back, whether it was Patrick, Bastos, Radu. But last season, Patrick, Bastos, Romagnoli last season, they were incredible. So I
Hmm.
can't even make fun of that weakness anymore. But last club in Serie A, I know we're going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I like to talk Serie A, so you guys are here for it. Atalanta, what do you see out of them? They're gonna keep Hoyland. They're gonna keep Adamola Lookman. It's fifth place finish again.
No. I think Rasmus Højlund could be the top goal scorer in Serie A this year. He's really. I don't think he will be the top goal scorer in Serie A, playing in a league with Osimhen. But
Potentially bringing in Mason Greenwood also.
yeah, but he hasn't played in 3 years or so,
Yeah,
2 years. So
yeah.
I think Atalanta, they have talent. They've shown over the last few years that they can contend. This is for me a seventh place team this year. I, I don't see it. Højlund is going to be one of the best players in Serie A, but
I would say roster wise, I agree, but Gasparini's if not the best coach in Serie A, a top five, good top three coach in Serie A. So I think they're going to do better than seventh place. I think they'll finish within fourth to sixth range. I think seventh is going to end up being Lazio this season, but let us know what you think in the comments. We went
yeah,
off on
for
a little
sure.
Serie A tear. I know usually you're here
Yeah,
for Premier League stuff, but I
yeah,
love talking ball. I watch a lot of Serie A, so yeah.
yeah, for sure. So that's our top five league winners. Now, Dylan, if you would just enable the screen sharing so that we can jump into a couple games. We have
All
this
right.
segment towards the end of every video. We jump into a tiki taka toe or a career path or something. Today, since we're online, we're
It,
actually going to screen share,
it
what's
is
actually going on.
enabled.
So let me get straight into that. Let's head on over. Let's start it off with box to box for today.
All right.
Um, we'll take turns, I guess, and then we'll just go off and we'll say as many as we
All
can.
right. Yeah, for sure.
So let's start it off. Dylan, you want to go first?
All right. I'll start off in that Liverpool Arsenal channel. Let's go Colo Toure.
Torre. Colo Torre in the top left. I can go to I I don't even know where to go. Let's go PSG Dortmund because that was in our Tiki Taka Toe a couple of
Yeah.
days ago. Thomas Meunier is the option I was looking for.
I'll go to that Arsenal Bayern corner. We'll go, or that middle piece. We'll go Serge Gnabry.
Gnabry. I'll take this bottom middle spot and I'll go Renato Sanchez.
Interesting one.
Yeah, I know.
That Man U Liverpool. We'll go Michael Owen.
Michael Owen. Give me let's go with sorry, I wasn't even thinking. Um United and Bayern is I'm actually just gonna put Hakimi on the board because I just did that spot.
Yeah.
Uh you can do another one. Let me just think
All
for a
right.
second.
I'll put Mamadou Sakho down at that Liverpool PSG spot.
Okay. And I didn't get a chance to think, but we'll go with what's his name? I don't uh this is really embarrassing.
I've got more.
Yeah, I mean I know you do.
Bastian Schweinsteiger in the middle.
Yeah, Schweini.
Jaden Sancho
Uh
over at that Man U Dortmund
Sancho, of
spot.
course. And then we can move. Arsenal Dortmund's the last one we need.
Arsenal Dortmund. I'm trying to think.
This is the one I've been trying to think of the whole time, and I feel useless
Yeah,
for not getting it. But
I don't feel particularly good about myself with this right now.
yeah,
Aubameyang.
that's yeah. Oh, okay. That was okay.
All right, so now we can go on. Bayern, Arsenal, or actually, let's go to let's go to the
here we go
oof,
with Mkhitaryan.
yeah. Bring
That's a
in
Dortmund, Arsenal, and Manchester United
yeah,
player.
bring in Bayern, PSG, Kingsley Coman.
Come on. Um, we've got no. Wow, I feel like we're really struggling with this
Yeah,
one. And these are like six
ki-
huge,
kind of
massive
this is
clubs.
pretty poor on our part. I can't lie. Um, Amadou Diallo or Amad Diallo for Abdou Diallo. That's what it is
Yeah.
for PSG Dortmund.
Oh, can we just throw Nicholas Anelka?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. We could probably throw in like Brian Laudrup, Michael Laudrup, like, Uh 5 seconds left. Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. Uh, uh no.
All right.
You know
We
what?
didn't we didn't do particularly well there.
I think I might have the receipts from when Dylan and I played yesterday. They were slightly better than this.
Yeah.
But moving
Not
on
that
to the
much. No,
second.
I only got 17 yesterday. You got 20, but
So this is 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 14, 16. So yeah, I guess
this is also
this
our
was
shared brain power, which is not good.
that's not a good thing. I feel like Manchester United, we missed so many players. But
Yeah.
let's move to the next one. Super Draft Soccer. We're looking for international appearances.
Ooh,
So
all
we're
right.
looking for age in this one.
Yeah.
Let's start it off. Ivory Coast.
Serge
I'm.
Aurier. Bring in Serge Aurier on the right back.
Are we going only current players? We're saying
Yes. I don't think it'll allow you to do other than
because
that.
I mean I was just automatically thinking Didier Drogba.
Oh, well then, yeah. Yeah, go for
I
that.
feel like Drogba's got to be the option.
Yeah.
105 caps is a great amount. Now Luis Suarez would have
Godin.
been a great
Godin.
pick.
Godin.
Diego Godin is
Bring in
perfect
Godin.
for this. 161. Chile Alexis Sanchez in the middle.
Or do you want to go Vidal or Bravo?
I don't know how many games Claudio Bravo has
I
actually
know Claudio
played for
Bravo played
Chile.
a lot of games for Chile. He started in the 2010 World Cup. I would go Claudio Bravo. Just get that
I
spot
think
out the
then
way.
Bravo's are going
Yeah.
144. Spain.
Spain. Busquets.
Yeah, Busquets has to be the problem is just if he didn't play 143. Belgium, Vertonghen or Alderweireld.
Yeah, go Vertonghen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
148. Italy, there's a
Ooh,
lot of age in this team. I would say Immobile up top, but
I don't
can't
know
go
because
there.
this is actually a younger team and what I'm seeing. I
But
mean,
if we can go
I guess you can
into,
go Marquisio
if we can go,
or
yeah,
De
in a more,
Rossi.
or yeah, De Rossi or Marquisio.
I would say De Rossi got more caps.
I think you're probably right. 117.
Ooh, got
Scotland.
Lee Griffiths, attacking midfielder. He started every game. Oh, he never
No.
played.
Um.
Robertson.
Yeah, I feel like let's just put in Robbo. 61 is not great.
Oof.
Um. I mean, Pavel Nedved could always go in on the
Yeah,
left.
I would do that, but I feel like it's weird that we can put in these older players. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, 91 is also not that many. Or
Messi,
can we just put
Messi,
Messi on the right hand
Messi.
side?
Yeah,
Uh, Modric at Cam.
Modric and Cam, sure. Even
False
though he's never
nine.
played
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
advanced.
kidding. 166. Portugal right back.
Okay, so this is the challenge
Ricardo
now. Do we
Pereira.
find the right back that's had the most caps? So let's think back. 2014, their starting right back at the World Cup would have been
I watched Portugal play at this World Cup because they were in the United States group as well. I
yeah,
mean, this is a Portuguese team that,
this would have been Vittorio Antunes at the right back spot that year. Him and Bossingwa was on the left.
but I wouldn't think that he would have the most caps of these
Yeah,
guys.
no.
I feel like
Semedo, Cedric Suarez.
Cedric's not a bad shout just because he's older than Semedo and Diogo Dalot and Rafael Guerrero.
Want to go Cedric?
I think we could put Cedric here. But oh, it's limited to I think it's in the top 50 cap getters for the country.
There's definitely no right back then.
Let's just see if Semedo is not there and Rafael Guerrero's there. I mean, I know he's primarily a left back, but
I would put Pepe there before I put Guerrero there.
I think Pepe probably has played enough games on the right hand
Yeah.
side that
All right, let's run with
yeah.
that.
We'll stick Pepe there.
All right.
1445. I feel like that's good.
I would say that's pretty good. Yeah.
I feel like that's probably pretty good. Let us know if there are spots that we missed here, because I'm sure we missed a couple of really good ones. I'm
Yeah.
sure De Rossi wasn't actually the best option for Italy.
We could have put Maldini in at the left back spot.
Yeah, and then Robertson wouldn't have to be on this team. But either way, I feel happy with this. I feel like we got some really big ones that are good.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna move on to a third one here that Dylan and I kind of just discovered this game mode yesterday because we were just kind of scrolling through a bunch of them. We had the most fun playing this. We probably played for 20 minutes going back into the archive. just guessing random as teams. This was Guess the Football Club, hiding the badge, of course. You have 6 guesses to guess which team it is, and this could be any team in any division, I believe, in the world.
I think it's other than
Or
in
is it just
England,
Premier
it's first
Division?
divisions.
Okay, I think it's just the top
Other than
division, other
England.
than England, because I know we got a couple of English lower league teams.
All right.
We're gonna start. I feel like we should start somewhere in the middle of the world, somewhere in, I don't know, France.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with PSG.
Paris Saint Germain.
All right.
So we have a team
Oh,
that's
we're
not from
close.
France, but established before 1970. Stadium capacity is below 48,000. The team we're looking for is slightly northwest, and we're only 647 kilometers away. I think we're somewhere in England.
England. Yeah,
I
I would
think
say
this is
that's
an English
probably
club.
right.
I think looking at a smaller stadium capacity, what if we go for a second tier team? What if we go for like a I don't even know,
I would just put Burnley. That would be what comes to
Burnley?
my mind. Yeah.
All right.
Even though they're
We
first
are
tier.
we
Yeah.
are in England. This is an
This is an
old
old
club,
team, and we're
but
30
we're only
kilometers
30
away.
kilometers away. Um, Bigger capacity. I don't think this is, maybe this is Everton.
I don't know that Everton's older than
I don't know
1882.
that Everton's older than that though. I'm trying to think of
What
who's
comes to
older
mind right
than
now
that.
is Derby County. They're older,
Derby County. I feel like
but
Derby
I also
County's
don't
a
know where they're located in England.
how do you
No, I guess they're not in it because
I guess they're not in this.
they're third division now, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
What about like a
Sheffield.
now? Yeah, I was about to say Sheffield. We don't know England's geography perfectly. Okay, so we
Yeah,
don't know what's
so
30 kilometers west of Burnley. Uh, so cut us some slack. But I feel like Sheffield's an old club.
yeah,
Are we thinking Sheffield
uh,
Wednesday or Sheffield
Sheffield
United's the
United is
only
the
one?
only one that's available. So let's go with that.
Not quite older, but oof. The question is just for me, where exactly is Burnley? Because I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
I know they're rivals with Blackburn, which is near Manchester. So I would say that's something.
Uh-huh. And I feel like Blackburn could be one of the oldest clubs in England too.
Blackburn could, and let's go with Blackburn.
I think Blackburn's a really good guess.
Ooh.
Older than
Okay,
1875.
so I've trained at Blackburn Rovers for a week. I'll be that. So but
I feel like we're
I
looking
know
at
the
like
clubs near there.
Preston North End.
It's Man United is near there. Man City is near there.
I
Oldham
think we're
Athletic
looking
is
at
near there.
Preston.
Bolton is near there, and Preston is near there. So let's go Preston.
I
Let's see
think we're
where.
looking Preston.
Let's
Come
Yes,
on.
let's go.
Well
That's it.
done. Let's go. That that's a really big one.
All right,
England
want to run the
geography
missing
is
11?
not
Missing
a
11's
going
right
for
there.
missing 11's right here. Complete the historical lineup. Brazil's
Ooh,
4-1 win against Ecuador in 2011 Copa America. This is the one that this is missing 11 is the one Dylan's really good at. I'm not as good at this one,
all right.
history wise. But 2011 Brazil's 4-1
So
win.
that goalkeeper will be Julio Cesar.
Mm-hmm. Also, if I mistype something, it's gonna count the guesses wrong because
Yeah.
it's stupid. But like whatever.
The left center back is going to be Thiago Silva.
Right here.
That'll be Lucio. This. All right. So I would say this will be Neymar.
This will
This
be
left
Hulk up top.
Hulk up to. I would say either Hulk or Fred.
Let's see if it's Hulk. It's not Hulk.
Fred.
It's not
No.
Fred. Okay, we'll come back to it.
I'd say Neymar will be this left midfielder.
This 7 because it's
No, the sorry, right midfielder.
on this side. Neymar on the right side. Yep.
All right. I would say Elano is the cam.
Elano Elano.
Yep. No.
No.
All right.
So we'll come back to that one again.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. So
it's no Casemiro in the midfield.
no, it's
We're
before
not looking
Fernandinho
at
even.
yeah.
I would say Maicon is the right back. That would be what I'd say there.
Maicon. Yep, fits it.
All right.
I feel like this
So
left
maybe
back should be a
Robinho on the other wing potentially.
Robinho is a good guess. Yeah.
Yes. All right. I'm stuck at that 5'6" outside back.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's one letter short of Danny Alves, but that's a 4-5.
I mean, I'm think Felipe Luis doesn't fit,
Nope.
and he that's too early for him anyway. I'm trying to think back to the 2010 World Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, Kaká could be up top.
Ooh. No, because there's no.
No,
I mean,
there's no
there's no K in
K.
it, but we're just gonna put it
Okay.
in because we took the guess. We're not playing Wordle here, so
All right.
I'm. This is a
I'm
tough one.
I'm starting to get stuck. That 5'5" midfielder is also starting to annoy me
Yeah.
because it's not
What
Gilberto
about
Silva. I'm thinking Paulinho for that 7 midfielder, but I think it might be a little too early for him.
what about Fabiano as the midfielder?
All right.
I know he wasn't really a
Luis
midfielder, but
Fabiano was an attacker. He
yeah, that's the
was.
thing.
I'm trying to
Um,
think back to the 2010 World Cup
I know
because
that's what I'm doing too. Ramirez. Ramirez will be that
Ramirez is a
midfielder.
good. That's a good call.
That'll be that
Yes,
midfielder. There we
that's a
go.
good
Chelsea
call.
player right there. That's the only thing I know.
All right, five
Um,
five. That's starting to really annoy me.
uh,
Oof.
about like
I would say actually let's try to get the striker right because
yeah, that striker we've got to be able to get.
it has an A as the second letter.
Yeah.
It's not Fred. It's not Hulk. It's not Kaká.
Yeah, that's. Oh,
It's not.
is this the players? Oh no, this is the guesses we've taken. Sorry.
It's not Joe because that's 2 letters, and that's who the other striker I would think of is.
The Brazil. I don't know the Brazilian squad that well. I'm just trying to guess players I know. What about Pato?
Hato. That's probably right. Yeah, that's a good one.
There we go. Um, could we be looking at? I don't know how old, but could we be looking at like Lucas Leiva at the midfield?
I
Because
like
that's a
that.
five
I like that.
five.
I like that. Let's run that. Yeah.
That's a 5-5. I just don't know that he would have been playing. Is it IE or E?
It's
I think it's
EI.
EI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this could be right. Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
wow. Okay. Um, this cam spot, I'm struggling.
All right. Let's look
It
at it.
could it
We've
be
got some letter.
Oscar? Could it be Oscar?
I don't think so because we have some letters in there.
You're right. It can't be Oscar. Uh, I
Um.
don't know who else would be on this team because Oscar's the only one I'm thinking of at this cam spot right now.
It's
Wow.
Sandro maybe.
Sandro is
That's
six
six. That's
letters.
six. Oof. But we could play the letter game.
We
So
can play the letter game. It's slightly more boring, but we can
yeah.
play the letter game. So we can throw in um just we'll put in some random letters. So we'll go QWRTY. Nothing.
That's
And then
not
we can go to
that's not the right strategy to go with the letter game. We got to try to
I'm
get the
just
letters right.
no, I know. I'm just trying to go in order of the keyboard just so it's not as
Uh-huh.
so I can go to UIPSD or PSD. We have an S in there as a second to last. Now at this point we don't need the letter game.
All right.
We've got
So
A and
it's
SO, but
oh, it's
Bomso.
it's Ganso. It's Ganso. I remember him.
Ganso.
He played at Vasco da Gama. It's Ganso.
Ganso.
He was a free
Okay.
kick G.
So now we're just looking at this left back.
All right.
And we're
It's
not
not
looking at Danny Alves. And it's not It's not like Adriano or Marcelo.
It's
I
not.
have no idea.
It's not Felipe Luis. I mean,
Doesn't even fit,
I
even though like the name is totally wrong. Um,
would say put in Marco Antonio as a left.
Marco Antoni.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I don't know this Brazilian team well enough. I'm not gonna get this one.
All right. So I'd just say put in a G, an E, an S, a D, and then like put in letters that you can see can happen. And once we get stuff in the right spots, there's no A there. Okay. So this could help because an A and a T
This
in the last
last
name.
name can be Santos.
Okay.
I'm thinking Santos is the last name.
Try to put something in for Santos. Putting nah, because Nilmar was an attacker. He never played right back.
We could like Tiago. No, like we could go like Tiago Santos or something.
Yeah, let's run it.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's Santos, and the other letters we're looking for
D Andre.
D R Andre Santos. I don't
Yeah,
know who that is.
I actually do know who that is, but I think he played for Arsenal at some point. But yeah, I wouldn't have ever guessed that if we didn't play the letter game. So
Okay,
yeah,
but I think we did pretty well. I think we only had to play
yeah,
the letter game with two players, so I think
yeah,
that's it for a 2011 squad. I think that's actually a
yeah.
pretty good one.
That's good. Yeah,
Um, but that's all we've got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Clips are going to be going up on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, all that.
yeah,
Um, Dylan, I had a great time. Hopefully, we
yeah.
can do this again soon. I
Let's do
know
this
we're
again.
probably going to have another. I don't know timing of release, but we're probably going to be recording another in-person podcast this coming week. We're looking at hopefully like Wednesday the 20th or so. I think that might be the 20th. It might not be.
Yeah,
I could be
that
totally
one's gonna
wrong.
have to be without me,
Um,
but you
but I
guys can
think we're
have it.
looking at
Yeah,
something Keen and I may do an in-person podcast before we're both gone for a few weeks. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one
yeah.
and it was a great time and we will see you all later.